We are just 76 days away from Election Day in Idaho. Perhaps the biggest race is the race for governor. Incumbent Governor Brad Little is facing the Democratic candidate Terry Pickens and independent candidate John Stegner. We've already heard from both Little and Pickens, so Justin Corr sat down with the former Idaho Supreme Court Justice to talk about the state's finances.
The governor introduced his Enduring Idaho plan back in January. He was pretty proud of how it turned out. Even with the cuts, the governor talked about maintaining the state's investments in things like healthcare, public safety. Do you see it that way?
So let's talk about healthcare. We reduced our Medicaid rolls by 42,000. I think we have an obligation to live with what the public decided we should do, and that is expand Medicaid. And now our legislature is saying, oh no, we don't want to do what the people told us to do. And one of the things that taking 42,000 people off the rolls does is it makes it hard for rural areas in particular, because we're not paying the providers what they were being paid before, and we're essentially defunding the hospitals, because when you don't have people who can access hospitals in rural areas, hospitals close. And that's, I think, the death knell for rural areas. I don't know how you can say you're maintaining public safety when we have a vacancy of 30% in our state patrol. In the district that I represented as a district judge, that's the 2nd judicial district, there isn't one state policeman now. And I don't think you can say you're maintaining public safety when you have those kind of numbers facing you.
Getting onto education now, talk to some school leaders who talk about with inflation, even the investments that were maintained in education, it feels like a cut to them. Would you increase funding to public education, and where would you find that money?
I think we have a solemn constitutional obligation to fund public education, and I don't think we're doing that right now. And when the governor says that he's maintaining the public schools by not cutting them, he's essentially saying that while they got 100% last year, they get 97% this year. Those are real cuts. Those are real jobs. Those are real support staff, teachers, across the board.
Terry Pickens said if elected, she'd do everything she could to repeal the parental choice tax credit. What's your take on that?
I think she and I agree on that. I wasn't in a position to publicly oppose it when it went through. But I don't know how we can spend $50 million and siphon that money away from the public schools and say we're doing the right thing. We're not doing the right thing.
People, even Republicans, on the floor of the House and the Senate talked about getting into those rainy day funds. Terry Pickens talked about, like, if this isn't raining, I don't know what is. So you're saying the legislature, with your direction, should have gotten into those rainy day funds and used them?
I am saying that we should have gotten into the rainy day funds and used them. What you're doing is you're contracting services to the public. And the public are facing a lot of challenges right now. The biggest issue I hear about is affordability. And so when you're having people struggle with their own budget, and they see the state diminishing services, that's a bad combination.
We're probably going to put debt on the so-called wildfire credit card this year. It's not been a good fire year, been pretty bad. How would you handle wildfire funding?
Well, I think wildfires are an annual event these days. I think most people would agree with that. And when we put our wildfire suppression on a credit card, I think that's poor budgeting. I think we should find out what it's going to cost, or have the best estimate we can and put it in the budget, as opposed to saying, well, let's put it on a credit card. One of the things that happened is the governor asked for $30 million. He didn't get it, but he didn't fight for it either. I think a governor has to fight for his prerogatives or her prerogatives.
Now, he says he agrees with the governor on something, that the budgeting process allows the state to spend money before lawmakers actually know how much money they have to spend. But he says the difference is he wouldn't do that if he were governor. He said he would wait to have the revenue figured out before they figure out what they're going to spend.